It's a shame that I have to talk about Bakushou Jinsei Gekijou 2 so quickly after Itadaki Street. I'm going to feel a bit like a broken record here. This is another entry in a board game series that is very popular in Japan that I absolutely hate. The original Bakushou Jinsei Gekijou was released almost exactly 2 years before this game, and it is virtually identical. The major differences are a graphics overhaul, more minigames, and the addition of some hidden paths that take you to special areas. But beyond that, this is the exact same game. The concept is very similar to the board game The Game of Life, or to more Japanese taste, Sugorok, a board game where you roll a die, move a number of spaces, and then an event happens to you based on the space you land on. The Bakushou Jinsei Gekijou games start you out as a toddler, and then you live out your life. Very rarely you'll be presented with a decision. Go to school or go to work. Go left or go right. Work for a newspaper or work for a game company. On your turn, you roll a die and move 1 to 6 spaces. All of the spaces have an event associated with them, and most of these events modify one of your abilities. You've got brains, brawn, and luck. They can also affect the outcome of events. You also have your cash, and at the end of the game, the total assets that you possess is your score. And finally, there's a hidden stat for how lucky in love you are. At the start of the game, you choose if you're going to be a boy or a girl, and then can generate a face. As far as I can tell, your gender doesn't affect what profession you can have. It seems to solely determine who you can fall in love with. Unsurprisingly, for a game from 1991, it's heterosexuals only. Some of the squares require that you stop there to deal with the event. Things like entering a new grade of school, or picking a path in your life. Some of the squares you land on will have a distinctive encounter, like this turtle which will carry you off to an undersea palace, and you should definitely open any box that you get at the end of that. Or this alien that will take you to its homeworld. Another common space are these radishes. That's a feature carried over from the previous game, where someone landing on a radish space will let them invest in radishes, and give players who have invested in radishes a dividend or make them lose some money. The radishes are going to be a lot more common than your paydays, which are the money bag spaces, so definitely get in on those. Well, assuming you ever land on those spaces. There are a handful of mini-games that you can play that will affect you, like this one where people stick swords into the barrel that your head is in, and eventually at random it will pop off. Or here where your goal is to get as many balls as possible into this basket. There's also one round of Space Invaders, which I didn't get to see, and this whack-a-mole game. You're supposed to hit the regular guy, not God. It takes about 2 hours to play a game of Bakushou Jinsei Gekijou 2, and that is way too long for a game whose outcome is essentially random. Yes, you do have a few minor choices, and the mini-games that involve some actual skill can affect the outcome of events. But that is a very small portion of the game overall. 95% of the game's outcome is just random chance. You roll, you move, you see the event, and then you repeat. And while some of the events can be amusing, it's not 2 hours of continually doing this amusing. But what do I know? This was really popular in Japan. People seem to like the wacky events. Still, there isn't much of a game here. I can recognize the craftsmanship that went into making Bakushou Jinsei Gekijou 2, and still find it completely miserable to play. Sadly, there's still one more in this series to go on the Famicom.